Good. Greetings, traders. It's 3:09 Central Time. It's about 9 minutes after 9 o'clock in the morning, London. And it's 17:09 Southeast Asia. So we're watching the close of Asia pretty much, the London Open. And I'm trying to sort out what happened with the audio yesterday. It was kind of a bad day all the way around, $630 loser on two trades, one of which was quite disappointing. I always trade a bracket or have usually trade a bracket with 8 ticks or 8 points stop. And on the two contracts, got 2 full points of slippage yesterday on the second trade, which is pretty darn disappointing. I've got to look into that. That's market wasn't moving fast. It wasn't anything particularly crazy. And of all things, this is a TopStep combine. So it's essentially a sim account. Little bit of a puzzle to me as to how, obviously, couple of ticks of slippage is probably fairly normal, but when it's a relatively low volatility, and after about I think it was about would have been about 9:30, 10 o'clock Central Standard Time in the morning. It was about midnight my time was the second trade, so that's not particularly a high volume time of trading. Quite disappointing. Anyway, neither one of those trades were particularly good trade decision on my part. The video does show the trade, but unfortunately the audio didn't come through for whatever reason. But I did cross-check everything here, and it looks like we're getting audio up. To the live trade and the stream. So let's keep our fingers crossed here. I'm not getting any errors on any of my back ends for the stream, so I'm hoping that we're back on track with the reasonably good quality that we've been having. I'm going to be upgrading my audio equipment to a better microphone, I believe, but it's not top priority. Obviously, the top priority is trading, and the rest of this stream nonsense is just for streaming. Again, the focus of this stream is primarily my video trading journal with my voice over for articulation of my thoughts for the trading decisions. And hopefully anybody who has joined or listens to this, these broadcasts and these streams will find value here and be able to help them on their journey towards consistent profitability. That's what we're all about. So here we are. Looks like everything's okay on the stream, so I'm thinking we're all right. Says excellent, so we'll see what's happening here. Again, I'm not, my goal is certainly not to be an internet wizard or star or YouTube star and make a bunch of money on advertising and hyping crap, which is what I think a lot of the people I see online are targeting. My goal is to have this virtual trading journal so that I can refer back to it, which I do every day. And to progress as a trader, my thinking is if you're making good, consistent profits, consistently profitable, that's enough. That's my goal. So what we're looking at here is the Jigsaw drone, the Tradovate trading platform for the TopStep trader step 2 of the $50,000 combine. Our goal, our target is $53,000 or $3,000. So this would be 53,000. Yesterday we had that $650 drawdown, which means with the TopStep rules, we have $450 trailing weekly drawdown in step 2, which means then that we can't. Today's fortunately Thursday, so today or tomorrow we can't lose have any losing trades more than $450, or we will have to do a reset back to the beginning of step 2, which would be extremely annoying. Anyway, here we are. Let's see what we have going on for the day. So far we are essentially risk on across the futures. Settle on the NASDAQ is 13,394. Financials are pretty much risk off. Currencies, let's check. Gold should be up. Oh, I'm sorry, that's energies, crude. Metals, there we go. Oh, that's interesting. Gold is also risk off. Well, this must be a phenomenon then of the Globex session, because typically if you're risk off in the futures, or risk on, no, I'm sorry, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, what am I thinking? Better have another shot of coffee here. Risk on in the indices, then we would have risk off, or money flows out of the financials and out of the safeties like gold. And then, of course, everybody's going upside down thinking silver's going to have a giant short. The open interest is 21,551 on silver, and I've got to start noting down that. I don't pay any attention to it normally, but I'm curious to see what's going to happen there. Our settlement is 13,994 on NASDAQ, and 222,000 contracts open interest. Daily, we're pushing all-time highs. Yesterday was just couldn't get there. And so we have a little bit of a pullback day here in the Globex market so far. This is our 20 range chart. 5-minute NAS. This is our TPO and volume profile. But this only is the regular trading, the cash, or the regular trading hours. So prior to the open, I would look at the 5-minute. Pretty much flat, as indicated here. We did right on the open, and and pretty just a little above settle, but right on that, basically on our open. VWAP had a nice pullback earlier in the Asian session, and we recovered back. London has pretty much traded it back up. So I would be generally considering that we will try for an all-time high again, since we're so close to that big number. It's right at 16. Yeah, they just couldn't get it through the whole number here at 600. The last 1, 2, 3 pullback 4 or 5 days, you would sort of suspect that they're going to keep after that. Buyers are in. But we have to trade what we see, and of course, the all-time most important criteria is to manage risk. We have to be able to trade another day. Yesterday, when I took that second hit with a big slippage, I was at 630 negative, and I closed the stream off and stepped away from the market. That way I can live to trade today. And that's the mentality you have to have. I'll have to take a long look at this market. Should I decide to trade, whether I will adjust my brackets and or lot size here in the beginning. This is the part that makes me disappointed about the trade yesterday. This is 8 points, 32 ticks. Stop loss on both. First profit target at 30 ticks positive, and the next at 40. Why this would slip 2 full points? Not good. And the brackets here on Jigsaw are set up a bit differently. And it doesn't matter if I put a trade on here, for example, and I have a bracket set, those bracket orders will automatically be reflect over here and can be manipulated onto the Jigsaw dome just as if they were set there, and vice versa. If I put a trade on with Jigsaw, it automatically shows itself over here on the charting for Tradovate. So we're going to just take a look at the markets here and see how we go. I was quite disappointed when I went to review my recording from yesterday and discovered that there was no audio. Looks like we're pegging this out here frequently. I may just turn down this audio just a bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That looks a little better. Hopefully I'll have this straightened out here now. Don't know what exactly happened, but that's just a user error, operator error. I'm sure it's not anything with the software or my big computer here. As we used to say, I'm a licensed multi-engine instrument rated commercial pilot, and I flew along a lot of hours, various different places in the world, a lot of it in the Caribbean earlier in my life. And we used to jokingly say that it's a short between the headset or short between the earphones, whichever. In other words, it's you. And then there's an old saying from when I was a kid, which is, it is a poor workman that blames their tools. A skilled workman can have a saw, a hammer, a chisel, and build a beautiful product. And someone who's not skilled can have all the latest and greatest power tools in the world and a complete shop and not build a box. with square corners. I think that's a lot of the focus with trading. And I happen to be, I guess, because of a lot of the different parts of my background and education, I focus on getting tools, and I have to understand how things work. That's how I best function. And I'm prone to spend too much time worrying about setups and the charting and the this and the that. And, you need to get good, so obviously solid data that you can rely on is important. And that's one of the reasons that I really appreciate the Jigsaw Dome. It's real lightweight, very efficient, never screws up. If I see a hold or a lag here, I know the data is wrong. Oftentimes I will see this moving, and there could be not necessarily the Tradovate platform, but Investor RT or any one of the other platforms I've used through the course of years. Lagging behind, I always can rely on the Jigsaw to be the lightest weight and usually the most accurate. So it's as as much as a trading dome, it's also a good health meter for your system, or for my system, to let me know that the things are going good. There's nothing more disappointing than to be trading on a platform, and you think you're doing what's correct, and you find out that it's 15 seconds behind the market. Well, you're screwed before you even put the trade on. The market could be 10 points, 20 points away from you, and you don't know it. That's obviously disaster. So that's why I try to have the setups that I do. But there's a fine line there where you can't make a career out of the technology, or you shouldn't make a career out of the technology. You should remember that your focus is to be a good trader, consistently profitable, manage risk, get your expectancy and your win rate in the positive column, and think about the trading in ticks and points as opposed to dollars. P&L, that's also something I think is important. Now, over here, I can set this on the dome. On the Tradovate dome, you can set the position to ticks or money. Unfortunately, on the rest of this platform, you can't set it. It just, there's no way to change it from P&L in terms of currency. So I just try not to ever look at it. If you start chasing P&L, that can also prompt FOMO, fear of missing out, and those are not good things. So we're in a pretty much of a trading range here. The London boys are. Yeah, it's 9:30. I don't think they've had a time change. I'm sure they don't. One of our offices where I communicate often is in London, and I would know, I think. So let's just do a little sanity check here. We've got POC at 3040. That looks pretty much the same. VWAP is one I'm always questioning. It's 1413. Yeah, 413, I'm sorry. And there's VWAP. Hard to tell, but it's right. It's this purple guy right down here. Unfortunately, I had to make it a different color, I guess. In a little while, when it becomes more volume traded there, it's quite obvious to see. But so that's good. Had a problem this over the weekend. I updated this. These are now the new charts on Tradovate as opposed to the legacy. In the original beta, through the beta period, I had the new charting over here because of that part and parcel of the new charting was to offer the TPO and market profile charts, which I like. But I kept this base trade chart here for the NASDAQ at the legacy charting until they came across with the full version non-beta. and I waited a week or two to see how that worked out, and then switched it over to over the weekend. So they're now all the new charting, and none of the legacy here anymore. I wanted to be sure that I don't use, as you may know or may be able to tell, I don't use indicators and a bunch of things that would be prone to cognitive dissonance. I use VWAP and sigma 1, sigma 2, sigma 3, either direction from VWAP or standard deviation, and market volume profile, which is this is the day volume profile, the Globex, cumulative delta, and relative volume. That's it on the charting. This is kind of a grayed out box you can sort of see here. This is the range of the market. So back over here, you can see where the regular trading hours, my market profile charting is value area high, POC value area low. And you can see how the market highs and lows are designated here for the trading session. And then it switches over to the Globex and same thing. And in Globex, I don't plot the value area high and low bar or line. Kind of easy for me to spot what I'm looking at quickly there. And also you'll notice that the profile is here on the right in the active session. And once it is gone, once the session's changed, oh man, once the session changes, what is going on here? There we go. It switches to the left. And this is how the coloring will be on the regular trading hours volume profile. These darker blue indicates the value area high, value area low, POC, and then the lighter shade is outside. So there we are. There is a dome with Tradovate that's comprehensive and pretty easy to use. And of course, you can set the same kind of brackets up. You can hotkey with Tradovate. If you'll notice this H, look over here, you see a little keyboard. You can, now there's not hotkey available on this chart. Now there is. The hotkey settings are here under the basic setup. And I have them all set. Plus I have a set of hotkeys built for the Jigsaw, which is a little more complicated setup. And maybe a lot of folks don't have, but a lot of settings in Jigsaw, both visually, for aesthetics and also for column settings and things like that. Then this would be the hotkeys that I've set up for Jigsaw. And the yeah, so there you are. That's where we are at this point. This is the ES 5-minute. Clearly, you can always tell what's going on. There's the chart, the tab, the bar counter to the change. Same story here. You can see the, we're down, we're positive 0.14%, about 5.5 points over from the open. Same story here, 50 points with the NASDAQ. And this is a range chart, 5-minute, daily. This is the micro NASDAQ 5-minute and the point and figure chart. That's the setup. Simple. But the more charts and whistles and bells and lines and squiggly spaghetti going on, I think that just, as Jim Dalton calls it, cognitive dissonance. That's just leads, which is a fancy word for saying confused. You can't, this one saying up, that one saying down, this crossover saying short, this one saying long, and pretty soon you're just sitting there in a coma. More simple you can keep your setup, in my opinion, then you can focus on what you're actually trying to do, and have a couple of basic setups. If you go look at the video that we have there on the Holy Grail, the part 1, I'll put the second one up this weekend. It goes into some of the key components for the real Holy Grail of trading and how to achieve that. And it's not a joke or any kind of a scam. It's the absolute truth, and it's perfectly free, of course. So take a look at that. You'll see the tool that I go through some stuff with there at the latter part of the video, showing you how to figure out start to understand how your product and your trade size and your stop size or your positioning can be so important to your success or failure. And the real goal of trading is consistent profitability. But even more than that is you got to be able to trade tomorrow. So the more instances or the more days you can trade through proper risk management, the higher the probability that you will achieve success. Of course, like everything in all of these videos, past performance is not indicative of future results, and this is absolutely my opinion. Again, this is my virtual trade log, so I am verbally articulating my thoughts for this permanent record for myself. And if anybody can find value in this, that's wonderful. Please subscribe, click the thumbs up. I think that's how more people will come here. It would be great to have a nice community of like-minded traders that are focused on a goal of becoming consistently profitable in the futures markets. I think that would be great. Trading can be a lonely profession because you're sitting in a room by yourself, focused on screens. So, not to mention with this pandemic. So that could be a nice help. And you can get some positive feedback and weigh others' opinions. You should always make your trading decisions yourself. I'm certainly not a licensed broker or anything, and I make no trade suggestions, nor am I trying to tell you anything. I'm not a psychologist or psychiatrist or anything else, but all this is my opinion. All content on these streams are my opinion, and videos are my opinion. Take them for what they are. I hope they can provide some value. So the London folks are a little bit quiet today. I may go off stream here to confirm that all the audio settings are now as they should be, to return in advance of the open, the regular trading hours open, in 3 or 4 hours, 5 hours to be exact, almost 4 hours and 32 minutes or something like that. And I don't really see any particular movement. Quite frequently, London will move to VWAP within the hour previous to the or before, just before the cash open. That happens frequently. If you can back test or go back and look at your charts and take a look at that, that's an interesting observation that I've made. Quite frequently they'll do that. But this is just a chop down. Boom, 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 boom. You could make a case for consolidation here, thinking that the market could break one way or the other. But you notice there's some gaps in the book. It's fairly light. It is it is good in the sense that there's only 2 ticks between the spread on the spread, which is kind of nice. I think I will do that. I think I will go off stream to validate. I'm going to take a little look here. I've made a commitment to try to, well, obviously, since it's my trading log, it does me no good to trade off stream. It does me no good personally as my trade log, and it does me no good for viewers or people that would be coming by here that might want to see these trades and pick up some information, see what I'm doing right, see what I'm doing wrong. So I've made a commitment to not trade off stream, and a few times it's been kind of frustrating because I can't get everything switched up and turned on quick enough when I see something happening and then the move's over with, and you kind of fall into the FOMO thing. Last night was a little bit of that problem. I had a business call right at 10:30, of course, my time, which is market open. It would have been 08:30 Central, and so I wasn't able to get to the market until second period over about 11 o'clock, about 9 o'clock, and I was a little put off by that. I like to watch the market get into the open, and quite frequently I take a trade within that first period. And this kind of a light market like this with very little depth on the book, real easy way to get chopped up when you stop and think about it. I mean, there's six contracts. There's 5 contracts, right? So if you're trading a 5 lot, you could move the market 2 positions, 2 ticks. Wow, that's pretty light. That's pretty thin. It doesn't take somebody with very deep. Well, the total book through 10 positions here is 22 contracts, 18. Okay. Well, if I'm not, yeah, the $150,000 contract TopStep trader account, you can trade 15 lots. So, not saying anybody should do that, okay, but for example, right there, you could clean the book, you could sweep the book. You could cost yourself 50, so 1, 2, 3. You could cost yourself about 4 handles. If you put in a buy or a sell order there, you could sweep the book. One person, one regular day trader, one regular retail trader. So you have to keep that in mind when you're making trades, how easy it is for somebody, the lighter and the higher the volatility and the thinner the book, the easier it is to be shoved around or manipulated. Not manipulated in a bad way, but if you put in an order for 5 and that sweeps half the book, that's not manipulation. That's just how the markets work. That's the auction. It's gonna it's gonna hit this one. It's gonna take that one, and it's gonna take this one. Okay, so there's four ticks. It's gonna clean out 4 levels on the book. So I think I will call this a day here for the London Open. Not anything particularly exciting to me there. I want to check the audio and confirm that everything is working as it should be. Trade safe, manage your risk, and I'll speak to you hopefully just prior to the cash open in a few hours.